This work session, regular meeting of the Township Council is called to order. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be advised that adequate notice of this work session, regular meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, was made by the posting on the bulletin board at the municipal complex and transmitted to the officially designated newspapers, a list of dates annually indicating that this work session regular meeting would take place at the Franklin Township Municipal Complex at 7:00 p.m. on Tuesday, April 23rd, 2013. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for the invocation, which will be given by Councilman James Vassanella. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we gather here today as members of the Township Council, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community. Keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let us continue to strive to make a better world. Amen.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll of the council.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Here.
Councilman Kramer?
Here.
Mayor Levine?
Here.
Councilman Prasad?
Here.
Councilman Regan?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Here.
Councilman Vassanella?
Here.
Councilman Wright?
Okay, thank you very much. We are following along on the agenda. You're invited to do that also. Our agendas are right here by our clerk, Ms. McCarthy. You can feel free to get up at any time and get one. There's no rudeness involved. There's also associated resolutions, ordinances, and you can see what we're doing. Usually around the weekend before our meeting, all of this information is on our website, so you can certainly see what's happening. And if you look at our agenda on the website and you click on the ordinance resolution, you'll see the whole thing. So if you want to know what's going on or be prepared, we certainly invite you to do that. There'll be in a little bit later, there'll be time to speak of any item of a general nature, and I'll certainly let you know when that moment has arrived. For now, we're at item number 5 on the agenda, which is proclamations and commendations. And I'm going to be joined at the podium by now Ms. Councilwoman Francois and Councilman Vasnell, and I think
He's here.
Councilman Wright was going to be doing something also, but we'll be seeing him in a moment.
Hi. I'm glad so many of our youth in Franklin's here tonight. Right now, first, we're going to have a proclamation acknowledging the anniversary of the independence of Sierra Leone. Although it's not the 50th anniversary, not quite as big as an event as what it was a couple years ago when we had the inaugural parade, it still is an important event, I know, to the Sierra Leone community. And the Sierra Leone community having such a significant, important part in the community of Franklin, it's also very important to the greater community of Franklin. So I'll read this, and then please, gentlemen, come on up and receive it. Proclamation. Whereas the 52nd anniversary of the independence of the Republic of Sierra Leone, West Africa, will be celebrated by the citizens and friends of the Sierra Leone in communities all over the world on April 27, 2013. And whereas many local Sierra Leone organizations and individuals are dedicated to the principles of civic, economic, and educational programs within the Township of Franklin, and are dedicated to encouraging reflection on the rich history and teachings of African Americans, and bearing witness to the progress, beauty, and achievements they have made throughout our community. And whereas the Mayor and Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, and all the citizens of the Township wish to acknowledge and acclaim the contributions of our Sierra Leone community to the life of our community. Therefore, I, Councilman James Vasanella, on behalf of Mayor Brian D. Levine and the entire Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, hereby proclaim Sierra Leone Day, April 27, 2013, in the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. And it didn't have it on the proclamation, and I'm sure the gentleman will tell you about it, but there is a parade going on in May, if I understand all the details have been confirmed, and I'm sure you'll tell the public about it. And from experience, myself and many council members have been at the parades and the celebrations. They really do reflect interesting, dedicated culture and how important their independence, if you could think back 50 years after our independence, first Independence Day, it's a growing process and evolving process. So again, congratulations.
On behalf of the Sierra Leone community of New Jersey, on behalf of the entire Sierra Leone community here residing in Franklin Township and beyond in New Jersey, it is really a honor for us to be again for the third time being given this proclamation. This I say thank you to Mayor Levine, Councilor Vasanella, and the entire membership of the council. We are really honored and we feel very proud, because if I could just recount, I mean, we still say this, that Franklin Township, by the as was proclaimed by the magazine, by Money Magazine, way back in 2008, was first among the entire United States. And this was replicated again in 2010, and believe me, right now, still Franklin Township stands among the first 5 township best in the entire United States. So we feel very proud to be part of this township. And also, I want to say that our Mayor Levine is been running this township now, I believe, for the 3rd time. So that goes to say a lot, that we guided by leadership. But I won't use up the time of this township. In the midst of us, we have representative of our Sierra Leonean community. We have professors. We have leaders of community. We have our chairman, Mr. Lamina Rawazin. And also we have the plenipotentiary that is representing our government in New York. So I would like them to come forward and say a few words. Please come forward.
Okay, my name is Lamin Al-Harazim. I'm the chairman of the Sierra Leone Community Organizations. At this point, I think Mr. Gabasi already said everything, so and we don't want to use up all the time. So I'm just going to call on Mr. Cabs Kano, who is one of our diplomatic representatives, to say a few words.
Good evening, everybody, township officials, and others, we are very thankful to you for the proclamation that we have just received. The relationship between Franklin Township and Sierra Leone goes deep, and we aim to strengthen it. We aim to nourish it with this kind of activities. We have been in Franklin for a while. I've been here for about 20 years, and I also taught in the Franklin Township schools. And then before I was appointed diplomat for my country. So I'm here, and we are all here. Our families are here, and they're all very happy to be here. We are very happy to be in Franklin. This is our home now. This is where we live now. You know, so and this is where we're going to die. So we are very happy. Yeah. Yeah. So we are very happy. We want to thank the township for this honor that has been granted our country, and we want to assure you that we'll continue to be useful citizens here, useful people in this township. We have people here who are serving in very important professions. We have teachers, we have professors, we have pharmacists, we have nurses, we even have doctors. So they have all integrated into the society, and they are contributing their own quota to the development of this community. We want to assure you that we'll continue to do the same, so that we'll uplift Franklin Township, because this is our place. Thank you once again. Thank you very much.
As was said by our Councilman Vasanella, he has been pioneering our events, and we feel highly proud of him from the 50th anniversary to now. And I just want to say at this juncture that come May 4th, we'll be having our parade, the same route we use. And prior to that, on the 27th of this month, which is actually the Independence Day, we'll be having a community prayer, an interfaith prayer, because we find it necessary, because of all the challenges we have encountered, that it is necessary for us on that day to seek God first, his intervention in all that we do. So I just want to pass this message on to all of us. So on that note, again, on behalf of the Sierra Leonean community, it's a great honor for us to be given this proclamation. Thank you very much.
And I believe Franklin has one of the largest Sierra Leone communities outside of Sierra Leone itself. So that's part of why we're doing this. And we've been honored to have the mayor of Freetown come here, where we exchange proclamations and gifts with each other. I think it was last year or the year before, the president of Sierra Leone came when he was in New York on diplomatic mission in Washington, stopped by Franklin so he could visit us and our community. So we're glad to have you here.
Sorry, Mayor. Okay. I don't know if there's anyone here to receive this. It's a Alcohol Awareness Month 2013, Help for Today, Hope for Tomorrow. Whereas alcoholism... Well, I saw the sign, but I was actually looking for a person. But let's do that afterwards. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to... Oh, do you want to do it? Yeah, sure, please. That's what I thought you were doing.
Alice has a presentation, so I think it'd be more appropriate to do that after. Okay, so now we are going to have a commendation honoring our Franklin Township Youth Council for their service and contributions to our township. And there happen to be 54 young people here, and I would be remiss if I didn't ask them to come up. So they can be on TV. Come on up here. Come on up so everybody can see you. I know you don't be shy. Come on up, all of you. You can stand up here.
Just act like it was a cell phone, somebody just take a picture.
Yeah.
If they don't come up, no taxes going on. They'll be up.
Yeah, just go on over there, and we want to see everybody's face. And then some people can come up this way too, in front here as well. I know you didn't know I was going to do it, but I would be remiss not to acknowledge you guys. Isn't this beautiful? This is wonderful. It's not very often we get to have this many young people here at our council meetings, and to honor them as well for all their good deeds. So we want to give you as much recognition as we can. And we're not going to hand out each one of these. I think Alice and Safi will do that. Yeah, all 54 of them, but each one will get one of these commendations, and I will read what it says. It says, whereas the Franklin Township Youth Council is a volunteer community service organization staffed and governed by Franklin Township youth ages 12 through 18. Whereas the Franklin Township Youth Council goal is to develop and support community youth and charitable projects. And whereas the Franklin Township Youth Council's committees consist of environmental, youth, and community diversity, health issues, and education, the 54 current members of the Franklin Township Youth Council have provided over 1,700 volunteer hours in this current school year through event programming and assistance at various events for the youth of Franklin Township. And the Franklin Township Youth Council is motivated by the simple satisfaction of helping their fellow citizens and making their community a better place to live. Whereas April 21st through 27, 2013 has been declared National Volunteer Week, and that is why we are acknowledging and honoring our volunteers, our Youth Council volunteer students. Now, therefore, our mayor, on behalf of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, on behalf of the Township Council and the residents of the Township of Franklin, would like to honor the hard work and selfless dedication of the members and supervisors of the Franklin Township Youth Council. Let's give these young people a big applause. And I would also be remiss if I didn't let Miss Safi Callan come up here and say something about her young people, because she leads this organization. Come on, Safi.
Hello, everyone. It kind of is amazing that I'm here when Sierra Leone is getting honored, because I'm Sierra Leonean, and when I know, and when Youth Council is getting honored, because I'm Youth Council. So I just want to thank not only the kids, but Alice and Sue. You guys fund us, you support us, you put us up and tell us, hey, we're deserving of a proclamation. So I just need to take a moment to tell you, one, thank you for supporting Youth Council, and I need to thank the kids who are amazing. I know I'm biased, and I'll tell everyone I'm biased about how much I love these kids, but the selflessness and what they do each year, it leaves me a little speechless, which is hard to do because I talk a lot. But you guys are awesome. Well, getting into Youth Council is a bit of a process, so that's why I'm also in awe of how they do it. Essentially, you write a statement of intent of why you want to be in Youth Council. You do need to get support letters from your clergy, your teachers, anyone who's not immediate family to write a letter of recommendation for you. And then we go through an entire trial period where you put on different events, you coordinate charitable projects, things like that. We're at a level now where the kids run everything. So it's kind of amazing that they come in very, very green, and by the time they're done, they know how to build a project for their entire community from the ground up. So this year I got some wonderful help from Rebecca Michael, who's my assistant coordinator, and also our former Youth Council president, Emily Fernandez, volunteers each week to help me. So obviously volunteering stays in their blood, and so I couldn't be prouder of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, can we take
Yeah.
I know. You might need to put it on the
Oh, yeah.
panoramic setting. You guys have to scoop.
Yeah, we still have to do some kind of a scoop thing.
Shani, come on. on up, and then here, breathing in.
Okay, I can't. How much longer? Okay, wait.
Okay, okay, that's good.
That's part of our affordable housing trust.
Maybe we could take it together.
We have very little listening.
So I'm not in front of the sign.
What money's
That
there for
works.
what?
Yeah.
We can try to make sure it's used efficiently. So, does she want to do the other one?
After I think she's a little 5-minute presentation.
Sure. It's the alcohol.
Okay, and we need to turn this around.
Brian, Mayor didn't mention.
You want to do one?
He wasn't aware of the
Oh, my. It's a lot.
presentation.
Okay, so we have two proclamations. One's for Alcohol Awareness Month, 2013, and another one is for National Volunteer Month. So I'll do the National Volunteer since we just acknowledged our young people. Franklin is proud of its volunteers who not only serve our community with pride and commitment, but help to make sure that our community is a great place to live, work, and raise a family. The Township volunteers inspire, equip, and mobilize people to take action that changes the world, just like you. Volunteerism is increasingly recognized as an important partner in government and industry in doing the work of a nation. Volunteerism is vital, fulfilling, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. They said yes. Enriching to the participants as well as to the recipients of the service and should be encouraged for the benefits to all and to the community at large. Now, therefore, our Mayor, Brian Levine, on behalf of the Township Council, do hereby announce and proclaim to all citizens that April 21st to April 27th is Volunteer Week. And we urge our residents to recognize the valuable work done by its volunteers. We couldn't do what we do here in Franklin Township if we didn't have volunteers. You can't pay people to do all the work that needs to be done. So we appreciate all the volunteers that are out there, not just the ones here, but all volunteers. And then this is alcohol. This is what Alice is standing up here for. No, not for alcohol, but for alcohol awareness. Okay. Whereas alcohol is the most commonly used addictive substance in the United States, whereas 1 in every 12 adults, 17.6 million people, suffer from alcohol abuse or dependence, whereas more than half of all adults have a family history of alcoholism or problem drinking, whereas 100,000 people die every year from alcohol-related causes, drinking and driving crashes, other accidents, falls, fires, alcohol-related homicides, and suicides. Whereas more than 7 million children live in a household where at least one parent is dependent on or has abused alcohol. Whereas alcohol is a primary factor in the 4 leading causes of death for young people, ages 10 to 21. Young people who begin drinking before age 15 are 4 times more likely to develop alcohol dependence than those who begin drinking at age 21. Alcohol-related problems cost America $224 billion. That's $746 per person in lost productivity, absenteeism, healthcare costs, crime, and family-related problems. The typical American will see 100,000 beer commercials before he or she turns 18. That's crazy. Now, therefore, our mayor, on behalf of the Township Council, do hereby proclaim that April 2013 is Alcohol Awareness Month in the Township of Franklin. And as the mayor, he also calls upon all citizens, parents, governmental agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, hospitals, schools, and colleges to support efforts that will reduce stigma, increase community awareness, and increase support for individuals and families coping with alcoholism. And through these efforts together, we can provide help for today, hope for tomorrow, for those in our community who are facing challenges with alcohol. And to also address Alcohol Awareness Month, Alice has a nice program plan for our community to get people more engaged at a forum level. She wants to talk about a town hall we're going to roll out with our young people and our adults to increase alcohol awareness. There you go.
I'm proud to accept this proclamation on behalf of the Municipal Alliance for the Prevention of Substance Abuse. This is really a critical time of year for alcohol abuse awareness campaign, especially as we approach the summer, prom, and graduation season. Last week, I attended the 20th anniversary of what's called Project Graduation. And Project Graduation, or that ceremony, was recognizing many of the volunteers who have worked over the years to provide an alcohol and substance-free graduation celebration for Franklin High School seniors. And thankfully, Franklin has not experienced one tragedy on that memorable occasion for families in this community. I'd also like to remind residents that parents who host lose the most. We have an article in the Township newsletter about this campaign, and it tells you about the fact that there is a penalty of up to $1,000 and or up to 6 months imprisonment for an adult that provides alcohol to their children's underage friends. In addition to that, there's 2 upcoming Alliance events or Township events that I'd like to mention. Greg? Do you want to come up? This Saturday, our police department, this Saturday, April 27th, the police department is participating in the DEA's Take Back New Jersey campaign. And the Take Back New Jersey campaign has a poster like this, and it's running from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and they're accepting unused and expired medications for safe disposal. I happen to like this campaign, which also supports this, and this is the Partnership for Drug-Free New Jersey, and they started, one of their sayings is, who knew grandma kept a stash? And what it encourages parents to do is to talk to their kids about prescription drug abuse. There's a couple of statistics that I'd just like to mention that the Center for Disease Control has indicated that every day 40 Americans die from an overdose caused by prescription painkiller abuse. And that kills more Americans than cocaine and heroin combined. In New Jersey in 2010, there were 7,000 admissions for substance abuse in New Jersey treatment centers, all due to prescription painkiller abuse. And that's a 230% increase from 2005. What is also really scary is that the DEA has reported that 2 in every 5 teenagers mistakenly believe that prescription drugs are much safer than illegal drugs. So I say, take the American Medicine Chest Challenge and make sure that families make sure that their prescription medications are locked securely in their homes to prevent access to others. Do you want to say anything? Okay. I said it all, huh? I just also want to mention tonight that the Municipal Alliance for the Prevention of Substance Abuse is going to hold, as Ms. Francois said, a town hall meeting on Tuesday, May 7th, for the community to discuss the current trends in substance abuse. We're looking for input from residents of all ages, so we know Youth Council is going to be there. I've been petitioning our senior clubs this week, and we're inviting residents of all ages to come and listen to a few guest speakers that we have coming out that evening, including representatives from the Police Department, the Somerset County Prosecutor's Office, Franklin Township Public Schools, Somerset County Probation, the County Sheriff's Office, and Somerset Treatment Services. Chances are most people, either you or someone you know, have been affected in some way by the substance abuse. You just pick up the newspaper today and there's always something to read about, and even things in our own community. I don't know if you saw in last week in the newspapers there were 2 articles, and there was a county prosecutors and police department action that arrested 15 people, and 6 of those individuals were arrested from Franklin for dealing drugs. There was also an article about a robbery in one of our local jewelry stores, and the individual that stole an item from that jewelry store tried to get his dad to buy that from him, and his father wouldn't do it, and he took it to a pawn shop, and the father suspected the son and decided that since one of his other sons had died from a drug overdose, he wasn't going to let it happen to this son, and basically called local officials, and that son is in jail and has thanked his father for helping him, because that was the only way that he was going to be able to address his problem. So the night of this town hall meeting, we have a special portion for adults, and we have a separate exciting program for our teen population. They're going to work on issues separately, and hopefully at the end of the night come back and share what they've discussed. So I hope anyone that's interested, you just we'd like to know if you're coming. Give us a call. We're serving pizza that night. We'd like to know how much to order. We start at 6:30. There's this flyer is on the township website if you need to check it for a reference, and calling the recreation office, which is 732-873-1991. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Brian, are we changing something? I don't know, everybody's...
I'll just go on. Okay, thanks everyone for that, and a lot of public awareness on various things, so we all appreciate that very much. We're now at item number 6 on the agenda, Mayor's Report, and again, in a couple minutes, we'll be at our public discussion where people can say anything of a general nature. So we're at item number 6, the Mayor's Report, and today my mug of the week is of Winston Churchill. I picked this up a number of years ago when I was in Britain. And reminds me of the recent passing of the Iron Lady, Margaret Thatcher. She was a little bit controversial, but she did work with Ronald Reagan, several other U.S. presidents to help the world during the Cold War. And I also remember people like here Winston Churchill, Franklin Roosevelt. They were larger-than-life kind of people who were lucky at certain points in history we had them. And on the flip end, I'm also reminded of there's a new book about Calvin Coolidge. one of our presidents. I read his biography a few years ago, and he was on the other end. He wasn't bigger than life, but the book goes on to say how, even in his own quiet way, the country prospered under what he did. So those who are larger than life are great, and sometimes those who are not larger than life deserve a look also. So our meetings are generally the second and fourth Tuesdays of every month. Exceptions are July, August, and December, where they're only on the second Tuesday of the month. Sometimes we have special meetings, such as last month we planned for ABC, Alcohol Beverage Commission. We have a special hearing on a holder of a liquor license in town due to some issues that were there. And we will be meeting on, and I'm looking at the clerk just in case I get it wrong, Wednesday, May 29th, 2013 at 6 p.m.
Correct.
Okay, so that's a council, we had a couple dates, that's the date that was settled. That's certainly open to the public also. The other thing just to report for me is I had another meeting of the state, the Governor's Red Tape Review Commission. That's a commission in the state where we review red tape. It's chaired by the Lieutenant Governor, Kim Guadagno. It's got a bipartisan makeup, 2 state senators, 2 state assembly people, 1 from each political party, and I'm the only mayor that's there. And just, I reference it, so just a couple quick staccato points where it's gone. Things like the New Jersey Register, that's proposed and adopted rules, that's gone from about 7,000 pages to about half 3,000 to kind of cut out all those kind of things. There's much more state permitting that's online now. Within the state, there were like 2,400 titles that were reduced or eliminated because it was just redundant. And now the new area is expediting claims and mediation for Superstorm Sandy. And I've also learned, I didn't know, even without Superstorm Sandy, New Jersey's number 3 in the nation in flood claims. Not too much coming up from the ocean, but the Raritan, all of our rivers. So we're working on expediting that for people too, which is going forward. And I'll delineate more things in the future. And we're almost through our budget process. Franklin is certainly doing better than most towns, but we're not certainly where we want to be, so you can keep posted on where we're going to be. And that concludes the mayor's report. So now we come to item number 7, deputy mayor's report. So Deputy Mayor Rosalind Sherman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was a very important situation that happened in Franklin today. I'd like to share with everyone here. There was a very large-scale narcotics operation that was stopped as a result of a combined task force that was made up of Somerset and the Middlesex Police. We have a great deal to be proud of for what our police have done. Several towns were involved in this: Franklin Township, New Brunswick, Piscataway, and others. This was an investigation that went on for 6 to 12 months. This was not an overnight thing. It took a great deal of time and energy and careful surveillance, court orders, to have a wire that was also issued. This was a major, major operation. There were large seizures of narcotics, money, and firearms. This group was dealing drugs up and down the Route 27 corridor. There were at least 29 arrests and 10 search warrants that were issued. I can assure you that no citizens were at risk at any time during this entire operation. I'd like to personally thank the Franklin Township Street Crime Unit and our detectives, along with the New Jersey State Police, who were the lead in this operation, as well as the prosecutor's office. Job well done. No injuries were reported. Some pretty bad people were taken off the street, and a great amount of narcotics was seized. So I applaud what our police department has done, and a very special thanks to them from the council and everyone in this township. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Now, we are now at item number 8, public discussion.
Thank you.
This is going to be the only time to speak of something on items of a general nature. Afterwards, there'll be point for the public to speak, but that'll be on 2 specific ordinances. You know, I'll explain that at that point. So our policy is that people can come up once per meeting, and there's a time limit of 5 minutes per person, so we can keep hearing from as many people as we can. And there'll be a timer. When you hear a tone goes off, that means 3 minutes has elapsed. When you hear multiple tones go off, that means your 5 minutes has elapsed, and I'll ask you to wrap up your thoughts. Please direct all your comments to the council, and if any of us should answer, and we can, we'll direct it at that point. We're glad to hear what's on your mind. So is there a motion to open the meeting for public discussion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting is open for public discussion on any item of interest. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand. When I recognize you, please come to the podium and give us your name and address. Okay, yes, ma'am, come on.
I can't see you.
Okay.
Is that me?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Shall we?
Can I
And-
remain seated?
Yeah.
Sure. If someone could just hand you the microphone.
Yeah.
And, yeah, there's fine.
The
Give her the
microphone
microphone.
can
And
be removed from the stand.
And when you, please note we're being audio and video recorded, and when you speak, keep yourself about 3 or 4 inches from the microphone. That's the way we hear you, and the audio and video equipment picks you up properly. Then give us your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Virginia Moravec. I live at 199 Pierce in the Corman Communities in Somerset, and I'm here to ask the mayor and the council to please help me and all of the seniors, handicapped citizens, and legally blind citizens. Up until about 4 years ago, I was quite an able and independent individual with the ability to drive and get anywhere I wanted to go. And as of 4 years ago, I've been disabled and now almost completely disabled with a motorized wheelchair that I have to get around in. I cannot depend on anyone else to bring me anywhere. Tonight is an exception. But I am legally blind, I can no longer drive, and I'm sort of a prisoner in my own home because I can no longer go to the movies, I can no longer go to the shopping mall. I can't go to my official organizational professional meetings because I must go in a motorized chair. I've been cut off by the township from going outside the township over 5 miles to my medical appointments. I have to get an Access Link bus, which takes me forever in the day to get to the medical appointment and come back. I can do that, but I have to get the township bus to bring me to St. Peter's, and it has to be done in the window of 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I would like somehow to get a New Jersey Transit bus line in the area that Somerset needs, and that is within the area of Cedar Grove, Davidson, Elizabeth Avenue. If we can get a New Jersey Transit line through there, I can get an Access Link so all of the handicapped can get where they need to go and want to go. I can only get to my medical appointments in the daytime because of the Somerset bus transportation, which has been great. But I can't get to all of the doctors that I need to go to because they're in East Brunswick. I can get them with Access Link, but I can't get the Access Link after 3 o'clock because I can't get back with my wheelchair. So I'm asking you there is a study from Rutgers, a transit study that was done in 2007, and that was 6 years ago. Since then, there are more 55 and older communities that have been built up in Franklin, and we need to address the handicapped and the senior citizens of Franklin Township. I'm only one, and I have all the handicaps that you can ask for. But I'm an alive, alert woman that needs to get where she needs to go, wants to go, and I can't do it. I'm a prisoner. So I'm asking you, please, to upgrade the recommendations that were made in 2007, institute them, bring them to the fore, help us get where we need to go. Please, we need this in Franklin. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. No, oh, Councilman
Yeah,
Vacchinella?
I'll wait till council comments, but ironically, Mayor, I just have something that just came out, a pilot program, which is, I think, addresses a lot of what this woman was talking about. But I'll wait till council comments and
Okay.
give her the information.
Okay, we'll look at that. And Ms. Moravec? Okay, just on a personal, were you perchance a music teacher?
Yes, I was.
In Edison?
Oh, my goodness, no.
Oh, okay,
Yes, I was.
okay.
Yes, Brian.
Yeah, I was in Clara Barton.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm the one who couldn't carry a tune. Okay, okay.
And still can't.
Yeah, and I still can't. Yes, okay.
I was a teacher for 40 years.
And okay. And many.
From Clara Barton to Benjamin Franklin and then John T. Stevens High School.
Okay. Oh my. Okay. Nice to see you again. We'll certainly look into your study. I mean, the New Jersey Transit study. See that. Thank you. If we wanted to get back to you, Mr. Bornline.
I actually have Mrs. Moravic's phone number already, so
Okay.
I can certainly get back to her.
To give her this information tonight.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Is anyone? Yes. Go ahead. Then you can go afterwards.
Susan Goldie,
Ms. Goldie.
281 Abbey Drive, Somerset. And I'm here to talk again about the Franklin Inn. I was at a meeting, at your meeting in February, and at that time, or subsequent to that meeting, I heard that there was going to be a meeting of people in decision-making positions regarding the Franklin Inn. And I was wondering if there's any progress in getting that meeting together.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, yeah. Councilman Kramer.
First of all, thank you for coming and keeping this, well, it's alive anyway, but keeping it in the forefront and keeping it in the public view. I don't think there's been a week that I haven't bugged our township manager about getting this meeting together, and I know the particulars, but I think he has them more at his fingertips as to the difficulties we've had.
I do, and I'll be more than happy just to explain where we're at as far as the staff and the professionals that we desired to attend this meeting. One in particular is your attorney, Mr. Lanfrit, who unfortunately spends much of his winter in Florida. So he was unavailable, and it seemed kind of pointless that you not be represented by the attorney that has represented you and was identified as someone, by you, as a matter of fact, as someone who was very important to attend this meeting because he had the knowledge that you felt that we didn't have regarding what was the desire of the Friends of the Franklin Inn in acquiring this property and subdividing it from the Ankas property. Also necessary to attend this meeting because of all of the issues regarding the contamination were the consulting engineers, both the consulting engineers hired by the township to conduct the Phase 2 study, which was Birdsall Engineering, and the consulting engineer hired by the Anka family to follow up on the Birdsall report, which was Mazer Consulting. In speaking with Mazer, what they informed us was that they had done no work to this point other than to review the Birdsall report. If any of you follow the news recently, you'll know that Birdsall Engineering has currently been indicted by the state of New Jersey, and they have been effectively shut down by the Attorney General's office. So therefore, I cannot get to Birdsall Engineering to come in and tell us what they found when they conducted their investigation for the township into the Anka property. Additionally, we need to have at this meeting another attorney, the township attorney, 2 council people, and myself, the planner, and the zoning official, and our township engineer, and one of his engineers. As I've attempted to schedule this meeting, we've either had vacations or indictments. And unfortunately, I have no control over that, and it is pointless at this juncture to have a meeting about the condition and possibilities as it relates to this property unless those people are present at the meeting. So that's where I'm at with it. And if anyone has the magic ability to schedule all of those people at one time and get our reports out of a lockdown engineering firm, and I'll be more than happy to listen. So that's where we're at.
Thank
Councilman?
you. So I have a proposal, but I don't want to take up your time. Let you finish or...
All right, I'd just like the record to show that Peter Lanford is not my attorney, nor is he the attorney for the Friends of the Franklin Inn. I had communicated that in an email too. I'm not sure if you were in on it. He did some pro bono work. He wrote a couple of letters for me to the Yonkers asking if they wanted to sell, to ascertain whether or not they were still interested in selling the property. But he is not on.
Well, I have a correspondence from you that identifies Peter Lanford as knowing how to do this in a way that our township attorney did not. And while he may have not heard that, I believe he recalls that correspondence, and that's why it was so important that Mr. Lanford attend this meeting, and he did in fact agree to do so.
Okay, thank you. Well, I know that you are aware of how important this historic building is, and last month I made the point that it is in the gateway. But I'd like to tell you a little story about the Chicago River. In the 1800s, people in Chicago were dying of typhus and dysentery and other waterborne diseases, and the problem was they took their water from the Lake Michigan, and they also dumped their sewage in the Chicago River, which emptied into the Lake Michigan. So they tried to solve this problem, and they couldn't. They built a canal to the Des Plaines River and so on and so forth, but there was a recession, and they didn't follow through on it. In 1885, an outbreak of typhus killed 12% of the population, and so they got great minds together, and they solved the problem by building a bigger and better canal to the Des Plaines River, and they reversed the flow of the Chicago River. So while you sit down at the table with these engineers and the DEP, which is the LSRP, and they're going to present all of these problems, I think we can solve this problem if they can reverse the flow of the Chicago River. Thank you.
So,
Yeah, but Illinois didn't have a DEP then.
And Illinois was not, the rest of the country, to the west of the Continental Divide, wasn't too happy with it either, because all their sewage went down to the Des Plaines, to the Illinois River, and into the Mississippi.
Mr. Mayor, just to expedite public session, I'll respond in council comments. So all of you who came to hear about that, I'll tell you my thoughts in council comments.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm sorry, Ms. Tenbrook, and then you go next, yes.
At the risk of being redundant, my name is Barbara Tenbrook. I live at 2346 Amwell Road in the historic district of East Millstone, Franklin Township. And I'd just like to say good evening to Mayor Levine and the council and Mr. Vornlacker. I'm also here on behalf of the Franklin Inn. I'm an active member of the Millstone Valley Preservation Coalition Incorporated. It is the 501c3 sponsor of the Millstone Valley National Scenic Byway, currently responsible for the restoration of the Griggstown Bridge Tender's House. The Millstone Valley Preservation Coalition would like you to know that the boards of the Millstone Valley Historic Districts and Historic Sites within the Scenic Byway are hoping that the friends tonight of the Franklin Inn and the Van Loo Homestead will be successful in initiating a meeting with the township, the property owners of the Franklin Inn, the soil remediation engineering company, and the officers of the Friends of the Franklin Inn organization to discuss the necessary items that need to be attended to in order to commence with the purchase of the property and in order to begin the restoration of this most important pre-revolutionary war building. It's a unique source of pride to Franklin Township. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes. And then Mr. Tibbs.
Good evening. My name is Maria Cleveland. I live at 87 Stanwyck Court in Somerset. On November 18, 2010, the townhouse adjacent to mine, located at 88 Stanwyck Court in Somerset, New Jersey, was destroyed by fire. There has been no attempt by the owner or the bank to repair this property. I will spare you the details of the animals that have been trapped due to the openings that continue to result due to the disrepair. I've been in contact with the Health Department, Vincent Lupo, the Franklin Township construction official, Councilman Vasanella, and in recent months began contacting Mr. Vornlacher regarding this property. First, on December the 6th, 2012, I contacted Mr. Vornlacher citing Franklin Township's ordinance number 3848 in order to have the property listed as an abandoned property in an effort to have Franklin Township take responsibility for getting the property repaired. This ordinance allows a property that has not been legally occupied for 6 months and has been in need for rehabilitation for 6 months to be placed on the abandoned property list. Since December 6, 2012, I've only received one response from Mr. Vornlacher indicating that he would check with the construction code official and the township attorney on these ordinances. I reached out to Mr. Vornlacher on December 19, 2012 and March 11, 2013, but have not received any response. At this point, this property not only poses a health threat due to the recurrence of animals inhabiting the home, but also, to quote Ordinance 3848, the dilapidated appearance or other condition of the property materially affects the welfare, including the economic welfare of the residents of the area in close proximity to the property, and the owner has failed to take reasonable and necessary measures to remedy the conditions. I ask that the Franklin Township take the necessary action allowed by its ordinance and no longer wait idly for any external party to take an interest in restoring this home and ultimately making the affected Franklin Township taxpayers whole. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor?
We'll certainly look at Councilman Vasanella.
Just because I think this is unique to her. I contacted Bob at one point about it, and Bob gave me back a very technical answer, which I wish we could do more. Maybe we can, but I accepted his explanation of it, and since he's most familiar with the technicalities. This was just recently. So, Bob, if you could update her.
And dealing with Mr. Lupo, who's our construction code official, and just for the record, the abandoned property list is maintained by the fire prevention official, and this house is in fact on the abandoned property list. And while I don't disagree with Ms. Cleveland in reference to what the ordinance says we have the ability to do, we also have an issue here where this is a townhouse in the middle of the building, and there's structural issues if this building were to be removed. And currently, I've requested that Mr. Lupo reach out for, this house was in foreclosure. In fact, what had happened was the insurance company made payment to the owner after the fire. It was a rental property. The owner took the money and did not put the money back into reconstructing the house after the fire, but instead left with the money, and now the building has fallen into foreclosure. And the bank has been contacted and issued notices of violation by the construction code official. This is something that he's working with the bank right now to try to get them to remedy this situation, because to bring in structural engineers to deal with the fact that if we remove the centerpiece of this building, then we expose interior walls of the two adjoining buildings, and it is not as simple as just coming in with a backhoe and tearing it down and removing it. So Mr. Lupo's currently working with the bank to try to get them to deal with this property in such a way that the building can be rebuilt. So that's where it is at right now, and this is currently taking place. This is not something that is off in the future. We're dealing with this right now.
So I'll just ask if, Bob, anything that we can legally pass along or CC the homeowner here?
Absolutely.
I mean, our last correspondence, you got back to us very quickly. I assume that it was passed along.
This has been ongoing, and if Ms. Cleveland hasn't been contacted, then my instructions to the people who I asked to contact her haven't been followed, and I'll deal with that tomorrow. Okay. This is something that the construction code official is charged with dealing with, and I will continue to have him deal with it, and I have been following up with him. It is a long, arduous task here, and I think you understand that, and I think you know what we're up against here, and I don't want to have us go in and remove the central part of this building, exposing the interior walls of the adjoining houses to the outside weather. They're not designed to be that way. And then we also have the issues of just the structural integrity of the building. Right now, it's been deemed structurally safe. The fire prevention officials did what they needed to do as far as the fire was concerned, and the construction code official came in and did a full inspection of the property. I certainly understand the concerns of the neighbors, and I understand your concerns, and we're trying to work with the bank to get them to remedy it. They are the responsible party now.
And part of the problem is, of course, that we don't have the ability to order somebody to build. All we have is the ability to order somebody to demolish.
Right, correct. And that's exactly where we're at now.
If push came to shove, we would have to order the entire building demolished if it was determined that it wouldn't be.
That it isn't structurally sound.
So I believe Section 2879 of the ordinance actually allows for the township to go through, after several steps in this process, to take ownership of the property and develop its own rehabilitation plan as well.
No, we don't have the ability to reconstruct the property. If it's deemed, because of a fire, it's deemed a hazard, our only authority really is to order the building demolished. We don't have the ability to go in on a circumstance like this and rebuild a building that has been burnt down.
So even if we took ownership of it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong,
Well,
even if we took ownership of it through some ordinance, that we would still only be able to demolish it.
Well, we would. The problem that we have is that the only thing that we could do is we could lien the property. We can't take property without compensation. So the only thing that we could do is that if there were code violations, for instance, we could put liens against the property, and then we could foreclose on those liens. But the problem that we have is that, once again, we're still not in a situation where once we did that we would then rebuild we don't have the authority to do that. Okay. Typically what happens is that you do that, you have liens, and then you just demolish the structure.
I may be misinterpreting this portion of the ordinance, but if I could read a section of it.
Sure.
A summary action or other action to transfer possession and control of abandoned property in need of rehab to the Township of Franklin may be brought by the Township in the Superior Court, Somerset County. If the court shall find that the property is abandoned, that the owner or property in interest has failed to submit and initiate a rehab plan, then the court may authorize the Township to take possession and control of the property and to develop its own rehabilitation plan for the property.
Correct. But the problem is that the property hasn't been abandoned. There's a mortgage holder on it, right?
Well, okay, so how do you define abandoned? Because nobody's been, it's deemed.
Occupied is not abandoned. If I pay the taxes on a vacant lot and I don't live on it, it's not abandoned. So the fact of the matter,
that's not how abandoned is defined earlier in this ordinance.
No, but it is how abandoned is defined as a matter of law. There's a mortgage company who has an interest in the property. We don't have the ability to take. You're reading words literally without understanding the law. Generally, we don't have the ability to take people's property without compensation. What we can do is that we can fine people, or we can put liens, we can take a summary dispossession action, a summary action to enforce those liens, but we don't have the ability to take over somebody's property without compensating them unless there's no taxes on the property and all of those things. And then there's a process by us filing tax liens and taking it over that way. So, I mean, that's all part of it. And I'm not really sure even what section that you might be reading something from a redevelopment section that may
No,
not have been applied.
it's the abandoned property ordinance. That's what it is. That's the title of the ordinance.
It is.
So there's not a circumstance under which that we would go in and rebuild the property. We're not in the business. That would have to be the mortgage holder. We would find them to a point where we would ultimately take the property, and then we would sell it to somebody who could do that.
So what I'm not clear on is what action, and I believe Mr. Von Locker's agreed to share with me what he legally can. But what I am not confident is happening is that enough action is being taken by anyone, including the township, in order to make it more attractive for the bank to repair the home than it currently is for them to pay the taxes on it on an annual basis and leave it sitting there unoccupied.
No, if I can add, just conceivably.
Sure.
If the town could remove the animals, board it up or something to make it a little bit more livable, and then put a lien on the property.
Correct, we would do that.
That's conceivable.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. I mean, that would be within our responsibility.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to take your thunder or anything.
No, not at all. It is, and I sense your frustration, and it's my frustration as well, because this is something that just doesn't go away.
Right.
And not to minimize it, but unfortunately, and you have this one particular property, I have, 48 square miles, and unfortunately, hundreds of properties that are currently in various states of disrepair due to foreclosure and the fact that there's no longer anyone occupying them. And it is a very difficult thing to deal with. And in this particular case, because of the fire, in addition to it just being unoccupied, it's an eyesore. So it certainly is something, and I do too. And if there is an issue with the boarding of the building, then I will certainly send someone out again tomorrow. I had Mr. Lupo go out there recently just to make sure that it was still tight and that nothing was getting in or out of it. It's one of those situations that I will have him go out again.
It's not, but
Okay, and I'll have him go out to take care of
The
that.
association has been, anytime I call the association, they've been cooperative and having someone come out. So applying Band-Aids has not been a problem. But the
final fix. I get that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tibbs?
I kind of hope he does.
Johnny's Tibbs, 25 Parkside, apartment 322. With all these legal matters, I'm kind of scared to get up here. Me chicky.
And we do have an officer.
No. I don't even know. Just a couple things, and I'll be gone. It's not anything too deep, but I'm still in the business of saving lives, guys. I want you to understand that. That's my business, saving people's lives. So I want to, first of all, thank Roz for that. I didn't know anything about that particular thing, and
I'll read it in the paper tomorrow.
Good. That helps me, and some of the things we're doing down there. If you keep that flow of drugs out, then it makes my job a little easier. I also want to commend you on the presentation of the Emancipation Proclamation. I went to First Baptist Church, and you guys should showcase that. It was excellent. It was absolutely spellbound. I really, really enjoyed it, the whole program. It was great, man. It was really great. I also want to commend Phil Kramer on your budget. I might not know all the intricate financial details, but I was following along pretty good. And after the first presentation, I thought that Phil could find a way to save some money for the cost of unforeseen things that might be happening in 4 or 5 years. That it would work out pretty well. Then I seen the numbers of the proposal, and I got a little bit clearer in terms of what you were talking about. And and it was a formidable proposal, and I wish you luck, Bill.
Thank you. You're
I
in a
did
generous
understand.
mood tonight,
Yeah,
Johnny.
he is.
I
Wow.
did understand.
This is not the Johnny Tips I know.
Yeah, well, it was the truth. Now, the main thing that I'm coming here for.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
Here we go.
No, I'm not going to go where you guys think I'm going to. I'm not going to touch that. Not yet. Not yet. I didn't read enough about it.
We're waiting for the other shooting.
Yeah, I'm not going there yet. Not yet. But I've been briefed, believe me. I have one thing that's very important to me. I know I told you I'm in business saving kids' lives. We have a bathroom in the Naaman Williams Park. We have the bathrooms. All right, here's where you know I'm going. They've been locked up for 12 months a year, guys. It's locked for 12 months a year. Now, I have garnered together some of the kids at the most risk kids. I have got them together, and I'm trying to give them a job for the summer. I've talked to Ms. Thompson at the Welfare Department. She has agreed to maybe 2. You know, I'll try to work with you 2. Thank you very much, Ms. Thompson. That's in the process of her taking 2 of them. And matter of fact, they graduates from the Boys Council, and she's accepted to do that. I have 3 more. Now, these 3 would be ideal people to monitor the park this summer for a summer program. I have told them that I'm going to try to get them a job to monitor the park with the program, to keep the kids from fighting, to keep the kids from doing anything wrong in the park, to pick up the dirt, pick up the trash that might be in the park, and to monitor the bathrooms, to make sure that one of the reasons why the bathrooms have never been open is because of the fact that I'm afraid I don't want no drug addicts going in the bathroom and shooting up drugs and stuff for my kids to get near. I don't want that either. Now, if I had some kids monitoring the bathroom during the course of the summer while the kids are in the pool and having a good time, I think that it would be successful for the bathrooms can be open from May until September. Just the summer months while the kids are out of school. We need a bathroom very bad. I've been letting people come to my house for the past 4 years to use the bathroom. And I think other residents have voiced a concern that the bathroom should be open. They thought it was a fallacy to have a bathroom not be open 12 months a year. So I'm hopefully through Ms. Kimberly Francois and some of you other guys that we can give those kids, find a way to get those 4 boys, I got 3 left, 3 boys, and one is Hispanic and the other 2 are black, and they have agreed to take care of the other kids in the park. I made them feel responsible, a responsibility of doing that. And I know how the Public Works feel about cleaning the bathroom, so if we be able to take that responsibility, that will lessen their burden, as long as we can get them some type of stipend during the course of the summer. And by the way, Sergeant Dawn Flanders is also working with a couple of the same boys on a different level as I am. Okay, that's it. Oh, one other thing. I just have to say this, guys. I'm not going there. The Senior Citizens Men's Softball League. Senior Citizens Softball League costs $600 an entrance fee. I told that to somebody the other day, and they said, guys, what town do you live in? Where, just not P-PAC, Gladstone or something, And I just want you guys to know that is one hell of a burden for anybody to endure. We have sponsors and so forth, but still, that's ridiculous, And as of right now, that's pretty much it. I won't comment on other things, but thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else who hasn't spoken? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Suzette Malachi. I live at 148 Dutton Street in Somerset, New Jersey. I have a complaint about Hamilton Street, also a complaint about single-family dwellings with multi-families, and that's about it. Hamilton Street on Franklin Boulevard and Hamilton Street at the light. Buses and trucks make right-hand turns. They can't turn, so they hold up all the traffic. They swing into the right-hand lane to make a left-hand turn. I mean, a right-hand turn, excuse me. On Hamilton Street, they just put the lines in, but the line should be back further, so these trucks and bus can make a swing and make their turns. They can't. And they hold up traffic in the morning and the afternoon. See it every single day. And then on Hamilton Street, it's deplorable. The town is going down on Hamilton Street. I don't understand it. Bottles, cans, soda bottles, beer cans, everything. It looks disgusting. And it's depressing. And I've been here 38 years, and I've never seen it like this. I think they have too many stores up and down on the strip, and all they have is food stores.
Hair care for one.
Take out food, and beauty parlors and barbershops. Nothing else. What else is there? There's nothing to attract anybody there. Something has to be done, especially with these here people, with all these here families living at home. And their yards are looking like crap. It's depressing. I'm ready to get the heck out of town, the way it looks now. That's it. I just complain.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Anyone else wish to speak? Has not spoken yet?
Mayor, seeing no one else coming forward, a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Public discussion is closed for this meeting. Thank you very much. We're now at item number 9, council comments. So I guess we'll start over here. Councilwoman Kimberly Francois.
Good evening. I want our township manager to address the bathroom situation in the park for Mr. Tibbs.
I would be more than happy to. I actually had a discussion last week with Alice Sipowicz, our Director of Recreation, in reference to the bathrooms in the park. I know, Mr. Tibbs, you brought it to her attention. I'd just like to remind everyone here that Naaman Williams Park, from the beginning of, the end of June through September, will be open because the pool will be open, because we're including that expense in the budget. So there will be staff members in the park, either through the recreation program in the morning into the mid-afternoon, and then from mid-afternoon to evening, we will have staff members in the park, Monday through Friday during the morning hours into the mid-afternoon, and then we'll have staff members in the park in the evening and Saturday and Sunday because the pool will be open. So since the pool will be open and we'll have staff members there, we'll also have the bathrooms open. So the bathrooms will be open, and I talked to Alice about that. So yeah, so that's all, and I didn't want to cut you off there, but so the plan is already to have those bathrooms open while we have the pool open. Obviously, we can't have the pool there and not have someplace for the people to go to the bathroom. So yes, the other bathroom as well. We'll have staff members in the park, so they'll be able to monitor the bathrooms. So that's the plan as we speak. Okay.
Yeah, so as far as the 3 young men monitoring the bathroom, there won't be a need for that. Or cleaning the bathrooms, there won't be a need for them to do that. We've got to figure out some other way to give them some type of a stipend to do some work. Yeah. And I think we probably should, let's talk offline, because I'd like to get the SID involved in that. if possible. And I also saw the lady, I was going to comment on that, but I saw the Fourth Ward councilman took her outside to talk about Hamilton Street, so I'll reserve my comments on that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Brian Regan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At our last meeting, I didn't actually have a letter from Lieutenant Borland on an update on the issue with our police, the schools, and police form that has been mentioned and brought up for how we put together a committee that our chief and a number of his officers, led by Lieutenant Borland, have been meeting with the various schools for safety issues relative to the follow-up of the Sandy Hook incident. So I'm just going to read briefly a memo here to give an update to our citizens. And again, this letter is from Lieutenant Borland, who happens to be in the back, addressed to myself. As per our conversations at March 12th, the Public Safety Committee meeting, I offer the following for your use as a briefing tool. In the wake of the horrific Sandy Hook school shooting incidents, Chief Roberts had the wisdom and foresight to recognize that major national incidents always have a local rippling effect. He subsequently wanted to be able to reassure the citizens of Franklin Township that their police department is constantly moving forward to ensure their safety. To that end, he tasked me to address the issue of public and private schools' emergency and contingency plans. As of February 2013, security surveys have been completed for all 9 public schools and 4 of the 8 private schools in Franklin. The remaining 4 private schools are in the process of updating their existing security plans and creating them for the first time. We've been providing guidance and assistance as needed. There's a couple more paragraphs, but fundamentally that's the key piece of information, that though you may see on the news or read in the paper, about other towns doing this, we're not in it just for the PR aspect of it. Our town has taken this commitment seriously in working with the schools. Our police department, our chief has been a leader in this area and is providing that type of leadership. It's interesting to note that this has already been ongoing with the public schools. We base of some input from the Public Safety Committee that has been expanded to the private schools, and they are either updating or you heard that some of those private schools were creating their baseline plan. So this will be a very productive exercise on behalf of our police department, working with the schools to help ensure that we have plans in place to address such an issue if it was to occur. Naturally, we don't ever hope to be in that situation, but if we are, we know that there are plans to at least address it. And naturally, we're not going to go into, in fact, no one on council understands the details of these plans, because that wouldn't be a very secure plan. So, we trust the chief and the police department working with security in the school systems are working on that. So I did want to give an update on that today. Also, I guess to address, some of the other items brought up, I trust any issues with like the Franklin Inn that are being worked, they're going to also be worked through the township manager and the Open Space Advisory Committee for if there's potential purchasing of historical properties, that will all be vetted through proper channels. And then naturally, we've asked the township manager to look into, as we've already heard, about working with the Somerset County Transit to see what can be expanded within town, and looking at the township, the transit report from '07, and then addressing the Hamilton Street issues, and naturally also as talked about, the parks. The senior softball, it was actually a 50 over, so senior title is usually associated with 62. So those of us in the 50s, I'd rather not have that tag already associated with me while I'm still in my 50s. But generally, those clubs, those teams made up of, anywhere from 15 to 20 ball players who contribute, $10 and then they get somebody to sponsor. So it's not as prohibitive as it sounds. In fact, there's really not an issue. I mean, those leagues are full. They get teams competing. There is not an issue with, I'm just saying from the teams, it's not a blocking issue. We have teams that are participating in it, and they find ways to work it. And, quite honestly, with it, in my view, and even though I'm in that age bracket, there are a lot of other number of issues in town that we're trying to, deal, put aside or try to funnel money to. And, if I have to make the cut at 50 over softball, I will make that, though I won't be popular or among my peers. So, unfortunately, that's just, today's budget. Just a happy birthday to my son, who has turned 23 today, which also makes me feel older than I really want to feel. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman James Vasanella.
Thank you. Before I get to the transportation issue, just wanted to mention that it's that time of year again. The police are doing their Unity Tour, and I think they're having a little event at they sell T-shirts and raffles and basically support for the Unity Tour that they take part in. I believe it's the 26th at the Stagehouse Restaurant. They're having an event from 5 to 8. But if you can't come out to that, or even if you do come out to that, 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday, they leave for Washington. They ride on their bicycles every year.
Saturday.
What's that?
Saturday morning.
Sunday. Thank you. I thought I read here Friday.
Friday evening.
Oh, if you can't come out Friday for the event at the Stagehouse, I'm sorry. Thank you, Rajiv. Anyway, it's an event that I believe the proceeds go to benefit, among other things, police families need for police personnel. The issue with the transportation, ironically, I had no idea you were coming tonight, but they're basically new rides. The headline is New Ride Service offers transportation for senior and disabled residents. And just to read a paragraph from here, which I think might express some of your thoughts that you were expressing earlier. Having easy access to affordable transportation is critical to senior citizens and disabled individuals who don't drive. More than half of non-drivers 65 and older and individuals with disabilities are isolated at home largely because travel options are limited, especially in rural and smaller communities. I can go on and on, but it basically says, in I guess a more formal way, I think a lot of what you were saying. And there is a new program by RideWise, and I'm going to ask if our clerk could advertise it quite well on our website. RideWise is a nonprofit in the county that sets up programs. And to make a long story short, I believe anybody can buy into this, and I say buy in for very, very, very reduced amount of money, get you to the places, and it talks about post office, pharmacy, medical appointments, social recreational trips. It's basically to help seniors or handicapped individuals who have transportation issues live a more normal life. But most of us don't think about this, and we have a great senior program in town, youth program, but there are people that this is a niche group that falls between the cracks. RideWise is doing a wonderful thing here. I'm not going to go into the whole transportation study, but I was on the small committee that worked with the professionals on that study, and out of that study came a shuttle service to kind of fill in the gaps around town. I think some that you're referring to, myself and a few others put together a proposal. Unfortunately, it came right about the time that finances were in severe shape for the town and the country. So for a couple of years, it was put forward and just kicked back because it was unaffordable. We can represent it this year. Financial oversight, I'm sure, would review it and give it serious consideration for next year. But for now, this RideWise program. Well, this is a new pilot program. Okay, well, I can talk to you outside the meeting and see. Perhaps they can't, but it is still a service that helps the situation for some people for transportation needs. But I'll give you the information because perhaps it would. And as far as the Franklin Inn, I'm sure our manager is working very diligently, but your analogy there with the river, this has been a conversation for, well, a decade that I'm aware of. So, and it's only getting more intensified because of the situation there and the flooding and the structure of the building. But I'm sure we all got the message clear, and I hope something substantial is put forward, whatever that is, so you can get some closure one way or the other. And also the woman with the situation with the house demo, we're actually dealing with another property I'm aware of, and maybe even others, about properties that have been hit by fire tend to be some of the more complex situations for some of the reasons you heard mentioned here tonight. But I'll make sure that you got the most recent information, because I did inquire when I saw your email and got very detailed information very quickly from staff. So make sure you got that, or we'll get it, so that you're getting the information as the story evolves. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Ted Chase.
I've been out of town for practically the whole time since the last council meeting, so I'm afraid I don't have any comments to make. I do attend meetings of the Central Jersey Transportation Forum, which gives me some idea how difficult it is to get New Jersey Transit to institute a new general transit route. They have just introduced one in from really East Windsor, I think, to the Princeton Junction train station. But they study and they have to have a lot of ridership. And we do have the Dash line, which I understand that's only 9 to 3. I do hope that this RideWise program, it sounds as if it should meet your needs. And if they have a reason why they don't meet your needs, we'll have to go after them and beat them up until they do meet your needs.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Phil Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, let me start with the Franklin Inn. So I think it was day 3 of when I was on council. I went into Donna Vieira's office, who was the acting manager then, and I said, I want this. This is a goal of mine. I want this. And she said to me, it's not going to happen in your lifetime. And I can say that only because she's left. And I said, I am not accepting that. And I'm still not accepting that, so don't let my next sentence bother you. However, with what's going on with Birdsall and burying that study, essentially, it is very frustrating. I think we're suddenly set back to square zero on that. And so what I have thought of, and I just spoke about it briefly with the manager and extremely briefly here 2 seconds ago with our township attorney, is for now, temporarily at least, forget the land and just go with the building. And the concern, for those who aren't familiar with it, the concern about Franklin is the land is believed to be, with some good evidence, at least land very close to it, we know is contaminated. And there's a question of whether the land at the inn is contaminated. If the township buys that land and then it's proven to be contaminated, it could be $1 million or more to fix that. And we just cannot take that risk. So the idea that I've discussed is getting a long-term lease on the building. And the question I just asked the attorney that I think needs to be researched is, would that allow, I obviously have no authority by myself to authorize, but would be legally allowed to use open space funds then towards renovation? Would we be able to go get grants, et cetera, towards renovation? So what I am proposing is that this be taken up in land use, and we happen to have a meeting tomorrow, and at least hit the highlights tomorrow with that, and start kicking that off. And the township attorney and the manager, who has been very involved with all of this, and start going towards that, because then at least we preserve that building, because that building is structurally impaired, and it's in a flood zone, and if we lose it, it's gone. And for those of you who don't know, the thing that I need to hear no more than that was probably Cornwallis's headquarters, at least for a few days. So that would be a major loss to the town, to the nation, if we were to lose that building. So that is my thought. There's still huge amounts of work to do. I don't know if it's all legal and possible, and it absolutely needs to go through land use and the open space committee and financial oversight, and all the committees need to be involved. So I think that's a more reasonable direction to go, and I thank everyone for coming out here about it, and Ms. Goldie, you deserve a gold star or more, cutting the ribbon on it, and the Tenbrooks have been very involved with it. So I thank you for doing that, and I think that's my idea. So if the manager can remind Mr. Healy to put that on the land use committee meeting for tomorrow. And the thing I have failed at, Ms. Goldie, and I apologize to you, is I've not communicated to you. Every time I communicated with the manager, I should have said, okay, we can't have the meeting this week because, and that would have kept you in the loop a little bit more. And I can't promise, but I will endeavor to keep you more in the loop on this.
You can get grants on these properties.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Although, I believe you, but I need to hear it from this guy. So, okay, the next item is how very proud I am of Boston. I lived there for a little while, and all I can say is you picked on the wrong town. They are not to be put down by this. They are not to be stopped by this. Boston's strong. U.S. strong. That's one hell of a town, and I'm very proud of them. And I'm glad Lieutenant Borland is here. I grew up in the 60s when people called cops pigs. I was so happy to see people cheering every police car that went by them. Obviously, I'm affected by this. The last item is the action item list. I brought that up a number of months ago, came up with the idea of doing that. You wisely thought of Minute Track of doing that. I still don't have access to it. I'm wondering what the status of that is.
And it was perfect timing, actually, that you bring this up, because we had a financial oversight meeting yesterday, we have a land use meeting tomorrow, and we have an administration committee meeting on Thursday. And the agendas, and now that we are up and running, the agendas were created in Minitrack for the first time for these meetings. And as a result of these meetings, the tasks that come out of these meetings will now be inputted by the various staff members who are the staff liaisons for those committees. And as far as access, if you don't have access, then I'll have a discussion with IT and our IT director tomorrow so that you can see, or maybe it is that you have access and you just don't know how to see the tasks
Yeah,
in Minute Track itself.
Right, I
And-
have
And that's
access to
probably the
Minute Track.
case.
Okay, great.
So we're up and running as of this week's committee meetings, so.
Terrific, and for the public, the whole idea of that is, so council, we come up with these ideas, we hear about the transportation issue, we hear about Franklin Inn, and that keeps it from falling off into the Netherlands. It's on a list we can look at, we can review the whole to-do list, essentially, and say, hey, what's going on with that? So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Carl Wright.
Outside.
Oh. Okay, pardon me. Councilman Rajiv Prasad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dr. Kramer, did you say Netherlands?
What?
You were picking on the Netherlands in
No,
a Dutch town?
No. I'm running to get Mr. Councilman Wright, so he has this turn.
Well, I just want you to know that anything Susan Goldie and the Tenbrooks support, I support. So, the Franklin Inn, you have my support on it. And
Easier said than done.
Hmm?
That's the easiest thing to say, support. The easiest.
No, if we put our minds to it, you can reverse the Chicago River, you can
That's legislature.
rebuild or move the Franklin Inn somewhere. Or clean it up, whatever.
He's going to write it, Chuck.
Raise it, okay. Ms. Moravik, you are, of course, you've been corresponding with me and but I have a question for you. Had you been more strict with the mayor, maybe we would have had a musician out of him. But anyway, please take us to task and keep us honest. We will keep working on the transportation study that Mr. Vassanella and I had been part of in the public transport, and there was a two-loop recommendation to get the east and west side of the town connected, and the transportation hub would have been the town hall here, the municipal complex. And so that was the idea, and to somehow connect it with New Brunswick and be able to provide that. Beyond that, I think we should think of some kind of a volunteer program where we do it as a social service for homebound disabled people and try to help them. It takes a village, and we should try and do that. If we can try and put together some kind of a volunteer program, that might be the answer in the short run, at least, till we find a more formal response to it. And we had done the property maintenance ordinance, and could that be applied to the townhouse that was burnt up in the fire?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I went out into the audience to talk to Ms. Cleveland, and that's exactly what, she was reading from excerpts.
Right.
So it's complicated, and there's property rights involved, but the township can help, I think the bank can help, and I think the homeowners association also can help. Because remember, in a condominium, the homeowners association owns the outside of the building.
Okay.
Property owner owns the inside of the building, so there's all kinds of insurable interest there. So we may have different points of leverage. So I in fact got her contact information.
Okay.
And told her that I would, double back to her once I talked to staff.
Okay. And Mr. Tibbs, you got your answers on the bathrooms from the manager, so we won't hear you complain anymore. So,
They would like to have jobs.
All right. One thing that is, I mean, as Franklin Inn is dear to our Dr. Kramer's heart, I'd like to see something done with Marconi's Landing and the canal access, especially with the summer coming, people wanting to go across to the towpath. And that, after the storm, we have no access. There used to be access at Rutgers Prep, and that...
I can give you a brief update on that. I know that it was...
If you could, please.
Absolutely, sure.
Yeah.
The canal access at the Van Wickle House was delayed due to funding with the DNR Canal Commission as a result of the flooding from the Hurricane Irene. They had a number of structures damaged along the course of the canal in the state park that took precedent over the bridge. However, I now can tell you that plans are moving forward to have that bridge replaced in the relatively near future. I had gotten a request for permission to encroach on our property to do the work from the DEP, who will be doing the work for the state parks, and we signed off on that about a month ago, so I would anticipate seeing some movement, hopefully before the summer, as far as that bridge is concerned. As far as the second bridge is concerned, which will be behind the Somerset Diner, I had a conversation with Mark Healy just the other day about the progress on that bridge, and what that's waiting for is the negotiations between the DRCC and the Somerset Diner as far as the subdivision that needs to take place for the property acquisition for the landing of the bridge on the diner side has not been completed. So, but however, the feasibility study is underway for the bridge itself, and hopefully we'll be going to design once the feasibility study is complete. It's just a process that the DEP needs to take to do this within the state park, and we are confident that it's not necessarily a difficult situation with the subdivision and the agreement between the DRCC and the diner, but it's just a matter of legality for them to work that out. So that's moving forward as well.
Can we put that on the front burner?
Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to tell the DEP to move faster. I wish I did. If I did, we could resolve a lot of the issues that we have here in town.
Right, okay. Because, I mean, I firmly believe that, you know, Marconi is one that we have not utilized as much, and we could, you know, recognize him in Franklin. He lived here, and it's a resource and an asset that we should do something with. And maybe a museum to him of some sort would be helpful in that area. And so we should look at trying to get some kind of piece of land around there to have that as a centerpiece to attract people to Franklin. And beyond that, of course, the bridge access to the canal. And the canal itself, eventually, we had done a study, and I'd like to resurrect that study because we did public meetings and everything on that, and there was a plan, and it went nowhere. We need to think about some kind of a public-private partnership to try and put that plan into reality. And if we can work on that, that would be something that will help the town in a great way, because having the riverfront and the canal right here, and we're not utilizing it. I spent 6 years going to school in Washington, D.C., and I saw the transformation that happened with Canal Square and the CNO Canal, the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal. And they really utilized it to the fullest extent. And today they've gone even beyond that to the waterfront in Georgetown. So that's the potential for Franklin to do that. And, you know, with that sort of a vision, we can look to some developers who would like to come in here and redo the whole place. So that's, you know, a thought that we should be thinking about. And and if nothing else, can we arrange for some kind of canoe rentals and that, so we can use our canal resources a little better?
if I could find a concession, unfortunately, and I'm sure you're aware, the property itself is state park property, and anything along the, adjacent to the park that's state park property would have to be through the state park system. But we can certainly talk about other areas. The concession that is on the Griggstown Causeway is one that is authorized by the state park system. So we do have a canoe rental on the canal now.
But that's far
in
away.
Griggstown. Agreed. And unfortunately, as I can encourage businesses, and I'll see what I can do.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, if I could
Thank
just
you.
interject on a
Sure.
totally separate subject, I just think it's
Mr.
important
Moore.
that I let council know something that's currently occurring in town here that's not a good thing.
Go ahead, Mr.
I've been
Moore.
informed by the Director of Fire Prevention and the Chief of Police that there's a major fire on Skillman's Lane at the Saddam Farm. One of the barns is on fire.
Oh, my goodness.
And Route 27 is closed in that area, and I know that there are members of the public here who would be interested in that. So that's currently taking place. There's no one injured, and it is an unoccupied building, obviously, but unfortunately, I have to report that to you. And if I get additional information during the meeting, I will certainly bring it to your attention.
Okay, thank you for the update.
Is it the historic building?
I've been told that it is a barn on the Saddam Farm, and the barn is fully involved right now. So the firefighters are out fighting the fire as we speak.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Rosalind Sherman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this has been a really, really busy month for the Franklin Township Cultural Arts Council. My goodness, if we keep up at this rate, we're going to be the major entertainment center in this entire county. But anyway, this month we had and are having a photo contest, so anyone interested in participating, the theme is Franklin Township. There's very nice awards after the judgment is made as to the winners. So I encourage you to please get involved and become part of the contest. We had an author's reading at the Van Loosa Dam House. Mr. Gillespie wrote a book about the Holland and Lincoln tunnels, and it was extremely well attended. We had a creative writing program at the high school based on the theme of the Emancipation Proclamation, and it is extremely gratifying to hear the creativity and the thoughtfulness of our students in the types of things that they wrote. The event that Mr. Tibbs talked about, the Jubilee Heritage celebration at the First Baptist Church, was from some professional actors, professor from Princeton, music, dancing. It was a marvelous, marvelous event and very well attended and first class, really wonderful. We had our second jazz and blues open mic jam at the Van Wickle House. And it keeps getting better because as the word gets out, we get more people coming in who are aware of what we're doing. And we had wonderful musicians on Sunday, and all of this is free. So it's from 2 to 5. It will be held every second Sunday. This month coming in May, the second Sunday happens to be Mother's Day, so we're going to probably do it on Saturday. The Saturday before Mother's Day, same time, 2 to 5 at the Van Wickle House. So those are the things that we had scheduled. Let me tell you about the new stuff that's coming. We have a community choir that's going to be formed. We're going to be recruiting members for the choir, and there'll be rehearsals, obviously, and programs put on by this choir. Again, it's a new program that's just getting started now. And last but far from least, we were contacted by some people on Route 27 who are interested in opening a community theater down where Confectionately Yours is. They will not compete with the Villagers. Their idea is to do original works of art, written programs. They're going to do opera. They're going to do Shakespeare. And probably musicals. I have a feeling we're going to work with them on those things. So they're going to be working with the Franklin Township Cultural Arts Council, and very much active. As the year progresses, there are so many things going on. You really do need to get on our mailing list. You need to get to our website and find out what's going on. So you can contact me. My number is here, right up front here, my cell phone number, 732-718-6942. Call me, and I will be more than happy to get your name on our email list. So cultural arts continues to thrive and grow in Franklin Township. Thanks very much to our volunteers and all the people who are giving of themselves and of their time. With all of that activity, and I not only participate and go to most of the committee meetings, I head up the steering committee, I find my schedule to be very stretched at this moment. And unfortunately, one of the things I'm going to have to give up is my seat as the council liaison to the library board. So at this moment, I am tendering my resignation with great regret. But there is just not enough time to do it all, and I am stepping down from that position, and thank the members of the board for their working, allowing me to become part of that group. So that's my report. Thank you very much. Doesn't she have to say something? No. Oh, okay, well, then I won't end my report because I didn't realize what the process was. Fortunately, we have a member of the council who is interested in taking that seat, and I would like to nominate Councilwoman Kimberly Francois to replace me as the council liaison to the library board. Do we need we don't need a second for that, do we?
Yeah, we usually do it at the end of the second, but we could do it. We have to. Councilwoman Sherman resigned from the library board as the liaison and nominated Councilwoman Francois to take her place.
We could do a voice acclamation.
Okay.
We just do a voice acclamation vote? Is that proper?
Yeah, are there any other, pardon me, are there any other nominations for the library board? If not, all in favor of Councilwoman Francois by acclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain, motion is carried. Ms. Francois will, Councilwoman Francois, we'll see you at the library board.
Thank you, thank you.
There's a meeting tomorrow night.
Is there really?
Yeah.
What time is it?
5:30.
Book report.
What time?
5:30 at the
I'll be
library.
there.
Na. That was good timing on Roz's.
Good timing. Okay.
Okay, now I will speak to you. I'm actually on the library board, but I'll be at the New Jersey Conference of Mayors tomorrow, so I won't be there, so
Okay.
I'll fill you in on anything.
Oh, good. Thanks.
And Councilman Wright, would you like us to come back to you? Councilman Carl Wright?
No, go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. And for my comments, I've got none further for this evening. So just my thank you to everyone who's come up to speak to us. Certainly keep us posted on your thoughts. So now we come to item number 10 on the agenda, council discussion items, of which there are none. We go to item number 11, approval of minutes, of which there are none either. So we go to the warrants, item number 12 on the agenda. Warrants in the amount of $867,519.71 on April 23rd, 2013 are presented to the Township Council for payment. Is there a motion to pay the warrants as read?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on payment of the warrants.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan? Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Do I have to go through the process? Okay, thank you. Give me a couple seconds. I just got to get clarification on parliamentary procedure.
Oh.
Hold it anyway. Okay. Okay, thank you for that indulgence. Okay, we are now at, and the subject of what I was discussing is going to come up in a moment. We now come to item number 13 on the agenda, which is ordinance hearings and second readings. Generally, an ordinance to go into law is voted on twice.
Yes.
Once, and then the next meeting or two to vote on a second time. At that second meeting, there's a public hearing, which any member of the public can comment on that, and if it's voted on affirmatively that second time, then it goes into law. So we have two ordinance hearings and second readings today. First is item 13A on the agenda, ordinance number 4016-13. It's an ordinance to amend the municipal code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, by amending Chapter 330 entitled Stormwater Management to further incorporate stormwater management and stormwater best management practices for minor developments. The Township Attorney has approved the affidavit of publication, and a public hearing is in order. This basically aligns our regulations with those of the state for stormwater management. Is there a motion to open the meeting for a public hearing?
So move.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting is open for public discussion on this particular ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand.
Mr. Mayor, seeing no member of the public present, I move the public session be closed.
Seconded.
Okay. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Public hearing is closed for this ordinance. Thank you. And,
Mr. Mayor, if I could just address council on this
Yeah.
particular ordinance on second reading.
Mr. Boylocker, our Township Manager, please.
Thank you. Since this ordinance was introduced at the last meeting, I've had the opportunity to speak with several people, including our Township Attorney, in reference to this particular ordinance amendment. And I think it would be in the best interest at this point that this ordinance be tabled and not voted on at second reading tonight, so that I have an opportunity to bring the Assistant Township Engineer in to better explain the ramifications of this ordinance amendment as it relates to development of, in particular, single-family homes here in Franklin Township. Some concerns were raised to me by people associated with development, including attorneys, and as I said, I had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Raynone about this briefly, and I think it would be in the best interest to bring Mr. Houck in so that he could adequately explain the ramifications of this ordinance amendments before it is adopted. It is an adoption that would be, in my opinion right now, exceeding what the minimum levels are, but still coinciding with what best practices are relating to stormwater from the DEP. However, it is something I think that you should hear from an expert on before you take your final vote.
Okay, so Mr. Boylocker is recommending that we table this, and then it'll come to us again.
Motion to table.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Is there discussion on the motion? Okay, if not, Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on the motion to table.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois,
Yes.
Councilman Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Levine,
Yes.
Councilman Prasad,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman,
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella,
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Okay, thank you, and I trust we will see that again at some point. Now we come to the second and last of the ordinance hearings for this evening.
No, we have
Oops.
2 more.
Oh, pardon me. I lost count. 2 more. I was never good with numbers.
Or musical notes, apparently? Do you have that on the sign, the shingle outside your... CPA, not good with numbers. Or music.
Don't put that on your shingle.
But we hear you sing well.
So we come to 13B, ordinance 4017-13, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, that's NJSA 40A:40-45.14 for calendar year 2013. This is pretty standard, comes to us generally from our financial consultant, and does not necessarily mean we're going to exceed our cap. So the Township Attorney has approved the affidavit of publication, and a public hearing is in order. Is there a motion to open the meeting for a public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Meeting is open for public hearing on this ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand.
Seeing no one coming forward, Mayor, motion to close the public portion.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Public hearing is closed for this ordinance. Thank you. Is there a motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please poll the council on item 13B, ordinance 4017-13, please.
Councilman Chase.
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois.
Yes.
Councilman Kramer.
Yes.
Mayor Levine.
Yes.
Councilman Prasad.
Yes.
Councilman Regan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman.
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Okay, thank you. Now, we have the last of the ordinance hearings. Item 13C on the agenda, ordinance number 4018-33, an ordinance to amend the code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, and State of New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 230, Massage, Bodywork, and Somatic Therapy, Section 230-6, Permit Application Requirements. This basically allows and has the municipality follow the licensing requirements and rely on the state regulations for state licensing of massage therapists. The Township Attorney has approved the affidavit of publication, and a public hearing is in order. Is there a motion to open the meeting for public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting is open for public hearing on this ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand.
Mr. Mayor, seeing no member of the public present, I move to close the public meeting.
Seconded.
Moved and
Hearing.
seconded. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Public hearing is closed for this ordinance. Thank you. Is there a motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on item 13C, ordinance 4018-13, please.
Councilman Chase.
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois.
Yes.
Councilman Kramer.
Yes.
Mayor Levine.
Yes.
Councilman Prasad.
Yes.
Councilman Regan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman.
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Okay, motion is carried. On the agenda is one ordinance for introduction, 14A on the agenda, ordinance 4019-13. And Mr. Vornlocker, you want to?
And I'm on again?
Yes, sir.
All right. After having spoken to several council people in reference to the introduction of this ordinance, I think, again, I'd ask that this be tabled and this go to either, and I won't make this decision, either financial oversight or administration. What this ordinance amendment does, this is our salary ordinance, and in particular, this one was intended to bring up to date the current contracts with the PBA, SOA, and FMBA, which are listed in our salary contract, and also just bring into line some of the alignments of positions within groups in the salary ordinance ranges so that it better fit where they are now. It didn't increase anyone's salary or really adjust anything other than put them in the range where their current salaries are. Most of those salaries being dictated by bargaining unit agreements so that it's not something that's open for change. It was just putting them in. It's more of a housekeeping as far as this ordinance, but we do have an administration meeting on Thursday, but I don't want to say which way this should go, and so I would hope that maybe after some brief discussion, we could get this in front of a committee so that we could get it back to council.
Can I just find out what the issue is?
The issue is that we have salaries that don't.
Why are we?
Well, because no committee reviewed this ordinance
I see.
amendment.
Okay.
Nothing more than that, just that
Okay,
no
that's fine.
committee reviewed the amendment.
All right.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yeah, and I don't serve in either one, but it sounds like it'd be an administration committee issue, but whatever the majority wants. When you do look at it, whatever committee looks at it, what I'm hearing tonight, and my experience in the past, that these ordinances sometimes are directly connected to our most recent labor negotiation.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So, whatever you discuss relevant to how to introduce this or who to bring in to explain it, moving forward, is it practical to set up some kind of system to where, as not part of the negotiation, but running parallel with the negotiation, and you review an executive session, et cetera, and we decide where we're going and come out and vote on these agreements? Can there be an effort simultaneously to look at these ordinances, because they seem to always pop up way down the line, and whether it can be done in a way that saves money, great, legal time, but more importantly, just consistent so that all these are rolled out in a more packaged fashion?
So if I think I understand you correctly, and I'm going to agree, that this ordinance has not been amended and kept up to date in the way it should, and what you're suggesting is, as we ratify bargaining unit agreements, that we also amend the salary ordinance at the same time. And that would seem to make sense to me.
And then we can deal with it as a group
As they
we
come.
process these.
And then I think that what you would see is that there would be little discussion as far as why we're amending the ordinance, because it would coincide with the bargaining unit agreements being settled.
Yeah. And then we would even understand more of how the contract affects.
I certainly think that we could shoot for that in the future.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So based on that suggestion, is there a motion to table?
Motion to table?
Second.
Just before we do that,
Okay,
you know,
Councilman Prasad.
you did mention this to us at the admin meeting.
I did mention that we were going to do it, but I didn't bring the actual amendment to admin. So I think that's where the confusion lies, is that we did have a discussion about the fact that it was necessary to do it.
Right.
We just never looked at what was done.
Yeah,
So
but
yes,
it's
so
just
it was a discussion item.
Yeah,
in
but it
that.
was a matter of regularizing whatever had already
That's
been
correct.
contracted.
It is.
So with that, you had the admin blessing, so.
Well, there were, and I certainly won't dispute that the bargaining unit numbers in the salary ordinance were discussed and are rather clear cut. There are some changes, and I don't want this to be, looked upon in any different way, but some positions were removed as part of a discussion here at a council meeting not too long ago. We had a discussion as to assistant township manager and the way to adequately deal with that. And in this ordinance amendment, the position of assistant township manager is removed, as was suggested by our township attorney back then, to deal with some concerns that council members had. So there are some substantive changes that I think it would probably be appropriate that we go in front of a committee.
I think it'd be appropriate to take it back to the admin committee.
Okay. Motion to table.
Second.
It's already been
Okay.
motion and second.
Move to
Okay.
table, and I guess that's to admin. Is there discussion on the motion to table?
Well, only that, I guess, the motion to table is until admin has reviewed it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on the motion to table.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
I have a question, and I'm sorry I didn't raise it up because I was looking at this puppy. Does the Financial Oversight Committee get a whack at this? Or is this strictly admin?
There's no financial
Asking
impact.
the question, yeah. These are already numbers that exist. It's really a cleaning up kind of a thing. It's not that you're voting to give these people this money or not. It already exists contractually.
Some of it is, but not all of it.
Well, if you would,
No,
if you,
Every salary range that's dictated in the salary ordinance is so that people have salaries and their range, and they have to fall within the range. Part of the problem is this ordinance hasn't been amended in a number of years, and what has happened is, as a result of contracts that are in place or expired, those salaries have exceeded the limits, and that's why the limits were adjusted. But this does not give anyone a raise. This just sets the limits low and high for various positions within the town. Not all of them, because other issues related to expired contracts have not been addressed yet until those contracts are settled.
So this is for quote-unquote white collar?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay. So
No, and that's what I'm
includes-
saying.
Yeah.
Understand that this really deals with, the things that were changed were, we had positions that didn't fall within a range anymore. So we had to increase the range because they exceeded the range. We had positions that no longer exist that need to be removed.
Right, I saw some.
All right? And we have exempt employees who are not governed by any bargaining unit agreements that also exceeded their so the range needed to be expanded. And then we have bargaining unit agreements, PBA, SOA, and FMBA, where the old contracts were in the ordinance and the new ones needed to be put in. We still have expired contracts for both white-collar clerical and white-collar senior managers, and both of the blue-collar supervisors and blue-collar labor unions. Their contracts are expired, so we haven't updated those yet until they're done.
Thank you for that explanation. Yes.
Okay, and Councilman Wright, of course, it's yours or any council person's prerogative. If you want to go to financial oversight, certainly make that request at some point, too.
I just thought that, given his explanation, I'm going along with the pie. And it's
Okay.
fine. And before that, our township manager, it just wasn't clear to me. I'm glad you
And I
cleared that
think
up.
that's why I'm asking for it to be tabled, because I think that my feedback from some council members was it wasn't clear, and I want it to be clear before it gets put to a vote.
You good with me? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Motion is carried. We next have our consent agenda. This is items 15A through 15AD. Consent agenda are items of a general routine nature that it can be voted upon with just one vote. Any council person's prerogative to take any item off for a separate vote. So the items 15A through AD, as listed on the consent agenda portion of the meeting, are presented to the Township Council for adoption. Is there a motion for the consent agenda or comments, removal?
Motion for the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, move.
Comment.
Was there something else? Okay.
Comment.
Councilman Kramer.
So I don't want to remove the voted separately, just item X, the Pause for Cause dog walk in Colonial Park on May 19th. It helps Second Chance for Animal, which does a huge part in running our animal shelter. It's a fun place to bring your dog. There's all kinds of dog activities. Have your dog socialize with other dogs. It's from 10 to 2, May 19th. We're approving the special event permit.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Otherwise, Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on the consent agenda.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Okay, motion is carried. We have two items on item 16, resolutions to be voted on separately. One is Resolution 13-228, or down payment assistance grant for affordable housing, and Resolution 13-229, another award down payment assistance grant for affordable housing. And we could do these together.
We could do them together.
If council's prerogative.
Separately together.
Yes. Councilman Vasanella?
Yes, we should do them together if that's possible. I just real quickly want to point out that this down payment assistance grant for affordable housing, down payment assistance, basically this along with another program or a few others that also help in to avoid foreclosure are programs handled by the Central Jersey Housing Resource Center, which is who we contract, a nonprofit, to handle our housing. But this is an offshoot of one of the programs that Franklin was acknowledged for with an award recently. And these, although They haven't been coming recently. There were some very concerned citizens about how are we helping Franklin residents stay in their homes or ones be able to buy homes. And this is basically a product of those efforts. And council saw the commentary about the people that were assisting in buying these moderate and affordable housing. I think it's great that one couple I know says here about them getting married and wanting to buy a house. So this is Franklin at work as far as using our Affordable Housing Trust Fund in ways that truly help Franklin residents before it gets taken away by the governor or any other legislative action.
Okay, will I take that as a motion for both?
I apologize, I was going to end that with a motion, yes, to pass both resolutions.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please pull the council on items 16A and B, Resolution 13-228 and 13-229, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. We now come to item number 17, old business, which is 2013 boards and commission appointments. Are there any nominations? If not, we will go on to number 18, executive session. Executive session is when the council meets in private. There's only certain times when we can do that, such as contract negotiations, a personnel matter, or litigation, attorney-client privilege with our attorney. So today there's going to be 3 items in our executive session: litigation, Kings Row, employee contract negotiations, and update on litigation, E&J Securities. Is there a motion for the resolution for executive session?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. I'll say that when the subject of these items for executive session no longer need to be kept private, the minutes of those meetings will be made public. Ms. McCarthy, please pull the council on the resolution 13-223 for executive session, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. We're now going to go into executive session. When we come out of executive session, there will be only 2 items of business to carry out then. One will be the vote to come out of executive session, and the second thing will be to adjourn the meeting. Since those would be the only items after executive session, we're going to stop our taping at this point. So be well, and thank you for giving us your input, as always.
You learn enhance things your wife giving you.